Okay, so this is class one on Tuesday, the 19th of October. We're just working out some of the details of this class. All classes will be recorded and posted on Blackboard in the event that you can't attend. I was just getting to the point of saying I could not communicate with you guys beforehand to ask you, look, there's going to be a live presentation. There's no way I'm going to accommodate unless something really lucky happens. 25 students as to when is a good time and day, but I could schedule it on a day and time that maybe more students could sign on. So I just scheduled it on the time period that I had my first mini-mester class so that it flows with what I've been doing for the first 8 weeks, but I'm not stuck in stone to not maybe make it at a different time if it would mean more people could attend and want to. Now, since it is recorded, anything that is said and done, they can have access. You obviously, and those who might be listening to this at home later, can have access to the class. The only disadvantage is you can't ask questions when you're not here live. But that doesn't mean you can't send in a question that you have if you're working on your study guides and for some reason you're struggling with, or you don't have confidence that the answer you found is the right one. I do the study guides for your use. I don't grade them. You're not required to do them. It is an aid to instruction because this is a survey course. A Psych 101, or in this case 2301, is a survey course. Everybody has to take it. Most people are not psych majors to take this class. And I am humble enough to say that most people may not even have a particular interest in psychology. The only reason they're taking the class is because they're in a career field and somebody said this is a mandatory, like English or history, that you have to take. So there's not necessarily a huge personal interest in the class. So if I'm going to teach online, I want to give students an opportunity to have a live session because then it's more like in seat without having to be in seat. But I also realize people sign up for an online class because maybe they have a crazy schedule and it's really hard to work out a schedule where they can attend all their classes. So if they do them all online, then they can focus their attention on the time that they have available to do it. So there's nothing I do that stops that. I just add another element to say I'm going to be offering live session because I think that's closer to what in-seat instruction. And most people, including myself, really, as a student, don't like online. And the only reason we ended up having to take it is because we were forced to because of our personal life, didn't accommodate taking an in-seat class. So anyway, that's my story. And so, yeah, Mandy and I were having communication through chat because I think I screwed up on the audio part or something. She couldn't hear me. But anyway, we were discussing, what's mandatory. Really, nothing mandatory except taking a test. And since we are in a mini-mester, it's sort of like a summer class, as I mentioned in my email. We'll have a test every Friday, and you'll have the whole weekend to take it. It'll be a 50-question test. The questions will come right off of the study guide. So,
I have a question. Do
yes,
we need to
ma'am.
download the lockdown browser for
No, no, I'm not playing that game.
I'm like, because I got a new computer and I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to do everything. So
No,
there's an allotted time that you're gonna give us for the whole weekend to take the test.
yeah.
Okay.
And it may seem a little bit simple if you fill out all the
Study guides.
questions on the study guides, then you, in essence, have all the answers to this test in front of you. The answer is yes, that is true. And I think, I mean, I could do the respondents thing, but
Yeah.
it's, well, okay. In the beginning, it wasn't fair because people were stuck in an online class. That's not what they signed up for. They signed up for an NC. So some of them didn't even have a computer. If they did, the audio didn't work, the video didn't work.
Yeah.
You're messing over students by
Yeah,
doing
in
that.
case like if you move and I have kids, like it would say that I was cheating, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I just have kids, I have to attend to. So it was a little difficult. I would have to like make time to get a babysitter and then go take my test separately. But I just wanted to make sure in advance.
That's why I don't do it. That's one of the reasons I don't do it. And
Yeah.
I know just from doing it the way I do it, which is just put the test up there, give you a lot of time. And sure, I mean, the whole idea of, well, there's actually two ideas behind doing the study guides. One, as a guide, it guides you into at least what I think is more important subject matter. You read, the reading is not really bad. It's not like volumes. You just read, like in this case, we got 4 mods, which is not a lot. Now, I will tell you that for every mod, the book publisher creates a test bank of about 140, 160 questions. So I have to go through and cut out that. And I usually cut it down to maybe about 60 questions or something. So 4 times 60 is 240. So out of that 240, basically a fifth of them
Mm-hmm.
will
Yeah.
be
I
tested
was
on.
taking a look at them. And I was looking
So
at the textbook too.
the bad part is here we are on Tuesday, and I don't know whether, well, obviously you two were paying attention and already kind of scoping out what needs to be done. So this video, of course, I'll send that out as well. It'll be available on Blackboard. And then the rest of the class, hopefully, will figure out what's going on. So the more questions you guys ask, the better off they'll be, because they're not going to be here to ask questions. And the next time we meet will be, unless something happens, will be on Thursday at the same time. And we'll go from there. Like I said, I know there's no way I can pick a time or days that it's going to accommodate everybody, because most students took an online class for a reason, whether it's children or work or both or whatever. So every semester I have students who never attend a live session. They do fine. The school doesn't require us to do this. I just do it because I want it to mimic as close as possible what a face-to-face class would be. So that's why I do it. And so, I mean, any of you who are listening to this recorded, if there's a time on Tuesday and Thursday that you think would be better for you and it might be better for somebody else, then you can always send me that information and I'll take a look at it and I'll discuss it again on Thursday. Otherwise, we'll stick with this time period. And the only other piece I would add to it is I do have a morning class at 10 o'clock from 10 to about 11:30 that meets on same time, Tuesday, and the same days, Tuesday and Thursday, but in the morning. So I doubt I will have many takers that want to move this class till 8 in the morning or something. Probably not. So, but I mean, if it was later in the afternoon or the evening, that would be fine. But I know for a fact I'm not going to be able to accommodate everybody's desire. And like I say, some people, well, once it's recorded, you can't really make an argument that you couldn't watch it. But then some just choose not to, which is fine. Because if it was being taught in what the way a lot of instructors, at least psych instructors, I don't know about other people, but I assume it's probably true. They just put the material on Blackboard and say, okay, folks, there's a test on Friday. Good luck. And if you, as a online student, want to take this class in that format, that's fine. You don't get extra points for participation. I like it more, but it's not about what I like, though. And students obviously find it. There's some value to watching, either attending live or watching it in a recorded session. So I'm trying to meet everybody's needs as much as possible. The only thing that I could tell you is I have never taught this class in a mini semester format. Now, I've taught it in summer school, which is only 5 weeks, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with condensing the material. But since I couldn't get it done, I am behind the 8 ball, and I don't like that at all. So currently, well, let me put it to you this way. In a normal 16-week semester, I assign a certain number of mods for a 2-week session, and I have a test every 2 weeks. So in this class, we will have that test, but it will be every 1 week because we are condensing 2 weeks of instruction into 1 week and a test on Friday, which is essentially what I do during summer school, except I have to do it in 5 weeks and not 8. And in a way, it's not really 8 because, well, it is 8, but as I learned the hard way, the final exam has to be on that Friday. Otherwise, normally I give you the whole weekend, but they kick you out, which I didn't know. Well, I learned that last semester because some people took it on Friday, some people didn't. Those that didn't were not able to connect back. So I just switched the grading pattern to 7 grades instead of 8. So I worked it out that way. It really didn't change anybody's grade, but it would have been nice if I would have known that they were going to kick everybody off on Friday and not give you the weekend. Because to me, the semester starts, they're the ones who say the semester starts on Monday. So why did they kick everybody out on Friday? That I don't know, but they did. So we won't make that mistake this time. We'll have the exam way before that. So, all right. So those are the requirements. Basically, is to just take the exam. You'll have an hour to do it, 60 minutes. So there'll be some time to look around for something. But your notes, your study guide, your book, it's all open book, open study guide, open mind. So it, now let me explain a little bit about what I put on Blackboard, because it really, it's no different than in-seat Blackboard use. I've always used Blackboard as an augment to face-to-face instruction, because number one, sometimes people don't make it to class and face-to-face. Number two, some people benefit from having something repeated. So if it's on a video that I showed in class, well, that video will be on Blackboard as well. Now there's a problem. Well, it's not a problem, it's just a situation. The situation with making recorded classes, I cannot show videos on recorded classes, because this video first goes to Zoom and then I stick it on YouTube, because when I put it on Blackboard, the only thing that's on Blackboard is the URL for YouTube, which saves a lot of space. If I put up the Zoom video file, which is large, then EPCC goes crazy because I'm burdening the system. So the way I accommodated that is I upload it to YouTube, you have the URL, and then you can go watch it and it doesn't clog up Blackboard. The downside is I can't show any videos because their algorithms see it and they say, oh, it's copyrighted. Well, that's crap, because they're all from YouTube anyway, you know? So it's openly shared. Well, I happen to be an attorney, so I will tell you, it's not copyright infringement. It's there. Somebody has posted videos on their system and they chose to do it or chose to allow it. So, but it's not a human that makes that decision. The computer does. It has algorithms. Oh, look, he's got a video in there. We're kicking it out. So if it's a YouTube video, I guess, if I had a videotape with my cat responding to behavior modification, maybe they would let me show that. So I don't know. So it behooves all of you students, if you're going to participate in a live session, I can stop a Zoom session. I can pause a Zoom session, but you can't. I can also record directly to YouTube, which I sometimes do. In fact, I used to do that all the time until it screwed up on me. And then where are you? So Zoom's never screwed up on me. So now I just have to go through another step. Record it on Zoom, upload it to YouTube, and then send you the URL on Blackboard so you can refer to it all by dates and times. So that's sort of the way the system works. Now, what else can I tell you? Yeah, if you're listening, if you don't intend to, well, either way, it doesn't make any difference. If you, if I pause it and show the video and then come back live again, which I can do, to discuss the video with all of you who are listening live, then whoever's listening recorded can get the benefit, assuming they watch the video on their own, because I'm not going to copy, I can't copy the video and, you know, make it all smooth. It doesn't work that way. So let me tell you some more information about Blackboard. Sometimes I got some feedback. I got feedback from students on and off, and sometimes they, when I post videos, they don't know whether it's important for them to watch it or not. My point is, I post videos because they enhance what I have spoken and what the book has written. And believe it or not, there's actually some people who have a particular interest in a subject and would like to know more about it. So what I do is sometimes I will post a small video, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then I'll post another video that's much more extensive, 40, 50 minutes or something, and I'll give it a different name. I'll say a thorough discussion of whatever it is. And that's for those people who are actually interested in that subject. Truth is, you don't have to watch any videos, but they are designed to enhance your understanding of the subject. So that's why I do. And most of them, like in this this section on 1 through 4, mods 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's some really shorts. I think they're called 2-minute videos or something that describe what a neuron is and how it works, what an action potential is and how it works. Those are great because if I lecture about it, it's just not as good as having a visual presentation. And I do have a whiteboard behind me. I'm in my living room. I do have a whiteboard behind me, and I've used it before. In fact, one of the videos, not for this section, but the next week, involves behavior modification. So I shot a video just of me in my living room with my whiteboard as an augment to explain, because it seems like we never have enough time to discuss things in the class. And unfortunately, I'd like to discuss everything that is going to be on the test, every subject that's going to be on the test. It's not always possible to do. So I always tell students, one reason to watch the videos is if something is important to me in a week of instruction, well, I'm going to talk about it. So if you're wondering which questions are going to get chosen for the exam, well, if you attend the class, either live or recorded, you can see what I talked about it as important, and I will try to focus on those subjects when I create the exam. So there's an incentive to do that as well. The criticism is, and I'm sure it has to do with any class like this, if you've never taken psychology before, which there's a good reason not to, because this is an intro class, but maybe some students have taken a class in high school that it's not going to transfer over. It covers a lot of area in a very limited amount of time. If you look at the table of contents for your text, we don't even, I don't want to say we don't cover half the mods, but I don't know, I never counted them all. But I jump around. This first week is going to be mods 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next week is going to be 16, 17, 19, and 20. So you see, I'm skipping mods already. And then jump up into the 20s, and then the 30s, and then into the 40s. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not covering. Why? Because number one, you just can't. I mean, you can get it done if you just want to jam and say, okay, here it is, here it all is, and good luck. But I prefer not to teach that way. So I pick out what I think is the salient issues about psychology. Like I said, most people are not trying to establish their career based on this class. So, it's a little different than a nursing class or something where you're actually learning things that you're going to need to know to pass your boards or deal with patients. It's not that you're not going to learn things in psychology that are helpful, because you will. But for instance, when it comes to sensation and perception, when I go to those mods, I leave out all the detailed information about how your nose works, how your ears and eyes work. I leave all that out because it's very biological, anatomically specific, which is great. But again, most people don't have an interest in that. And if they're in the medical field, or that's why they're attending class, they're going to get all that with more specificity within their discipline. So why make those who are not interested study that, and those who are, whether they're interested or not, they realize they have to know it if they're in the medical field? Well, it's not going to be covered at the detail in an intro class that you're going to get it if you're pre-med or nursing or something like that. So that's the way I make my decisions. So I've been teaching out of this book for a long time, this David Myers module book. I like it. It's the most frequently, David Myers psych text are the most used psychology text in the entire United States. And every big university famous for attracting smart people, they use David Myers' psychology book. Sometimes they use it not in modules, but just in chapters. But that's the beauty of having it in mods. You can cut out some stuff that you don't want to present. I can't tell you in a chapter, hey, pages 219 to pages 225, just skip that part, because that's all on specifics that I'm not going to lecture on and I'm not going to test you on. So the mods are the way to go when you're instructing the way I instruct. So when you see the videos on Blackboard, you can look at them and make a decision yourself whether you want to watch it or not. And obviously, like in this one, there's at least, I don't know, my other television over here cut off, so I can't tell you exactly. But there's probably at least 3 of them in a row there that are like 2-minute videos that I took off of YouTube, because they're good. They're to the point. They got a lot better graphics than what I could do. And yeah, if you're wondering, what is this all about? Just watch a video. And the ones that are done by the Crash Course, it's called Crash Course in Psychology. This guy's got about 60 different videos. They're short. They're always like around 8 or 10 minutes. He is absolutely correct. Everything he says obviously has been looked at by people who know what they're talking about. Plus, he's a very entertaining kind of guy. He's got a good sense of humor. And, this is my humor behind me. The symbol that you see over my right shoulder, was basically is to your left, is a Greek symbol for psi, because that's a letter, this letter psi, PSI. If you're a fraternity, sorority person, you probably recognize that. That is the symbol, is a shortcut we use for psychology. So that guy is psi also, but not the psi we're going to be studying. So when I actually have my hands on a whiteboard, I use this symbol to abbreviate psychology. So that's why I decided to start off with a small measure of humor this afternoon. So, all right, what else can I tell you? Well, I'm babbling here, so you tell me whether you have any questions. I've created any questions in your mind.
Well, I just did have one. I noticed that there's obviously the study guides for mods 1, 2, and 3, but I haven't noticed any other study guides for all the other mods. Will those be like continually put up as we go along?
Yeah. Well, in fact, I don't even have 4 up there for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I realize that, but I was jamming to even get that up. So well, we'll see how it goes. If it seems to be like the number of questions, well, like next week, we're going to have 16, 17, 19, and 20. So that's 4 mods, and each one of those mods probably has 60, 65, maybe 70 questions. So you multiply that by 4 and you get, whatever you get, 4 questions. So I'm not opposed to maybe shortening some of those mods that are already posted, but you can't, I don't know if you get access to it or not. I can't remember when I opened them up to you, but I will probably be actively trying to limit some of the questions on the study guide so they're more tailored, shortened, to make it more palatable for a class that only meets twice a week and they're doing 2 weeks of study, normal study, in 2 days. So that's why I'm kind of concerned, and I don't think it's going to be particularly helpful if the only thing that's going to happen in this class is people just getting the study guide and reading the mods and then filling out the answers, and that's it. It's all focused on the test. Obviously an examination has to occur, and people want to do well in the class, and they feel like they want to be ready for the exam. And since, as Samantha said, I'm not doing lockdown, respondents lockdown, so it gives you the opportunity to use your book, to use your study guide, your notes, whatever. So people generally look at that as an advantage that they can help get a better grade because of the amount of work they put into a study guide. But then again, if you look at it from a psychologist or a faculty member's point of view, if you're not too egotistical, you can realize that the amount of information that a student takes away from this class is fairly minimum, because you got so much other things going on. If you're a psych major or if you're a human service kind of person, maybe you have a more interest in it than others. But most of what goes on, especially these first 2 years of college, it's people just trying to get a good grade point average, study what they have to study to make a good grade, and move on. They're not taking the opportunity to sit back and philosophize about, what am I really learning here? How can I apply it to my own life and all that? That is even less so when you only got 8 weeks to do it instead of 16. So I don't fool myself. It's not a reflection of my teaching abilities or disabilities, just reality. I always say if we were in the hallway, if we were doing face-to-face class, I could see you next semester and ask you a question. And I know you studied it because you ended up being an A student. unless it was something meaningful to you, you're probably not going to remember. So given that, I accept the reality that yes, there has to be an exam to have some measurement of your commitment to reading and answering the study guides. So you knew it at one time. Maybe next semester you don't. And I will tell you that when I teach in the summer, I always ask summer students, why do you take classes in summer? They're only 5 weeks. That's a heck of a lot of reading in a, I mean, that's a third of the semester that you're studying the whole semester and a third of the semester. And everyone always tells me the same thing, which is, I like these classes because we have a test every Friday. And after that, I can brain dump everything I've studied and get ready for the next week. So students in general don't like carrying the knowledge and what they've learned throughout the 16 weeks of the semester. And when you test on Friday over the things you learned during the week, they like that because now they know it, they answered it, boom, it's gone. Clean the slate, start another week. So I anticipate that probably going to go on in this class as well. There are some building blocks, which is, you know, helpful because when we talk about the lower level concepts, we'll go back to it later on in the semester when we're talking about higher order thinking. So it does integrate, but those kinds of things, you're going to know. You're going to know. So that's another reason people like a short semester. Now, why you guys sign up for a mini semester, I don't know, but I hope I meet your needs because you did it for a reason. And hopefully I will meet that. Your needs will be met by what we're doing here. So we'll have a test every week, and it'll be the same material that you would have gotten if you would have taken this class on a 16-week format. You just have to condense it into a test every week instead of a test every 2 weeks. So I'm not cutting out the subject matter, which we're going to be discussing. I'm just cutting out, I'm doing it in half the time.
I do have a question. So this Friday we'll have an exam over modules 1, 2, 3, and 4, correct?
Yeah.
Just making sure. Okay.
And I didn't have time to put 4 up. I don't know how 4 got cheated. I had 6 on here originally, and I was fighting with mod 6, so I got irritated, so I just cut it off. But I didn't mean to cut 4 off. So I will go back and load that one up.
I did see that in other modules, like if you click on the module, then the study guide is in that.
Yeah, they're in there. But so like I say, it might be subject to change depending on how much feedback I get on it. I like I say, I taught it in summer and people do it in 5 weeks. So if they can do it in 5 weeks, they can damn well do it in 8 weeks. That's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. So, well, you know, I'll listen to your concerns. People give me that feedback. I'm not so stoic that that I'm not going to change or listen to what you have to say. So, what else are you thinking?
I was wondering what the textbooks are used for, since the mods are really kind of like you know, like notes to us for the quiz. What is the do we also use the textbooks for the quiz, or?
Yeah, I mean, you got to find the answers. And
Okay.
the mods, you know, the idea of teaching in mods, Dave Myers is pretty damn smart. He knows as a psychologist that we learn things in chunks. And chunks is actually a technical term. And we see, we read in chunks, and we learn in chunks. And if you teach a subject, you take your chapter, let's say introduction, and instead of being chapter 1, it is now 5 or 6 mods, then you teach the same information. You just have a beginning and an end, which would normally be in the middle of a chapter. So it's literally understanding in chapter 1 in chunks instead of just one big chapter 1 piece. And what it does for me, it allows me to cut out stuff in chapter 1 that I don't want to talk about because I want to focus on what I think is more important. So I'm not sure that's why Myers does it. I think he does it because he knows that the human memory and the mind works in chunks. And some people, especially people who have some learning issues, it's easier to learn in a smaller piece than the whole piece. If you understand educational psychology, there's a whole discipline that understands how information is best presented to people to have them to understand it and remember it. And putting it into chunks like a module helps a lot of people, and there's no real disadvantage to doing it. So that's what it is. Now, I know from experience that what students often do is they take the study guide, they take their book, they read the question beforehand, and they just follow along. It's all in chronological order of how it's presented. So right now I'm on the book. This is another thing. Your digital copy that you have, the page numbers don't correspond to the hard copy page numbers because there's a boatload more on the digital side, you know? So for instance, page 1 of mod 1 is actually page 117 on your copy. So if you want to know where the book begins, mod 1, page 1, it's actually page 117 on the digital copy. And once you get that down, then you know where you are with regard. It's only a problem, like I was just about to tell you, I happen to have the book open to mod 3 on page 45, which means nothing to you because, I mean, you can look at the pictures when you're flipping around and you can see the page numbers on your digital copy. So you can do it that way. But if you, obviously, if on your digital copy, if you go find page 45, it's still in the, you know, in the acknowledgments and all that stuff. So anyway, my point is I'm looking at a particular, this happens to be a pictorial view of the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. And, you know, it's a great picture, great schematic of seeing the whole thing. So yeah, if you had your study guide and you're reading and you're answering questions, you're reading, then all the questions flow. And there's gaps because And there's gaps on your study guide. I always have some students say, hey, I'm missing question 24. No, you're not. Yeah, it's not there because I took it out. I can't, I mean, if you want me to give you 160 questions for every mod, multiply that by 4 and you're getting up into a lot of questions. You don't want that. It's bad enough that there's 60 questions. But if there was 160 and these test banks, they tend to ask a question about 3 or 4 different ways. I give you more credit than that. You know the answer, I don't need to ask it 4 different ways. You got it right the first time. So why bulk up your study guide questions with answering the same question? You know, if it's somewhat of an important concept, maybe I'll ask it a couple times because it's that repetitive nature. We're going to talk about memory eventually, and you'll learn that when you understand how memory works, you'll understand why books like this textbook is designed the way it is, because it's designed to work the way your mind benefits from it. And working in mod chunks is one of them. But anyway, so yeah, you get some questions repeated, not the exact same question, but the same area of question. And that's great on the study guides. Now, it's not so great on the exam because the exam is a mixture of all 4 mods. So it doesn't flow, oh, the first question is from the first mod. No, it doesn't work that way. It all bounces around. So if you've got your study guide and your book there and you're trying to refresh your memory as to what the answer to number 16 was, that may be from mod 1, 2, 3, or 4. It doesn't mean just because it's the beginning of the test that it's from mod 1 or mod 2. That's not the way the question system works. So, but if you need to find it, then you should know it by subject, because one area is on this and that's not on mod 1, so it's got to be a different mod than mod 1. So, but again, if you fill out the questions, write yourself some notes, then you can figure out what the difference between mod 1 and mod 2, mod 3, mod 4. So when you get to a question that you don't remember the answer to and you want to look it up, you can kind of figure out what mod is talking about. So that's just a helpful way for you to benefit from having an open book test. All right, so I've explained what's the other thing I encourage is you to ask questions, because for you, as I said, when you learn memory, if it's on your mind, you might as well ask it while it's on your mind. And then when you're creating a pathway for memory of what you've been reading, it all fits together. So I'm one of these instructors that prefers to be interrupted while I'm lecturing, because if something's on your mind, it's on your mind. You want to answer right now, and it helps you with your understanding, and it also helps you with your memory. That's how the brain works. So. I also dedicate time either on Thursday if we have time, or we can have a study session, just a review session, to do nothing but review your questions that you have on the study guides themselves. So leave the lecture time to questions that you're thinking at the time, and then reserve some time either on Thursday or even on another day to have a review for the exam. So generally, I make time available on Friday to if somebody wants to review the test before it's let out. Like for instance, my 10 o'clock session, which I just met with earlier today, a couple students came up and said, can we do a study session on Thursday after class? This is my face-to-face students. And I said, certainly. So the problem is, of course, I have your class at 1. But sometimes they'll meet, if they want, they'll meet on Friday at 10, which is not when they have class, but they can meet at Friday at 10 because their normal classes Tuesday and Thursday at 10. And for you, it would be the same thing. You don't normally meet on Friday, but at 1 o'clock, if you're used to attending class at 1 o'clock, and people want a review of the study guide questions, because sometimes you guys are behind the 8 ball too, and you can't get to your study guide when you wanted to, and now you're going to have an exam and you haven't had a chance to figure out where your questions are on the questions. Well, then you can do that on another day like Friday. So I don't mind doing that. It's just I don't want to overwhelm people with how much time they're devoted to watching online. But if it will help you prepare for the exam and do well on the exam, then I'll do it. And like I said, I've been doing it with my other classes, so it's not something that I'm not accustomed to doing. In fact, the mini-mester class that I just got out of was human sexuality. And with that class, I met 5 days a week from 1 o'clock till 2:30. So, but I think after we got into it, we didn't need that many days dedicated to that class. So I am scheduling this class for Tuesdays and Thursdays only, not all 5 days. And then if people want to have a study guide session, we can do that on Wednesday, or we can do it on Friday, or we can even do it on Monday. So.
Is it still going to be the same time for the Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, I'm recording this and I'm sending it out to everybody. And if people really want to attend a live session and they can't because they've got another class at this time, or, you know, they work in the daytime or something, it's not convenient, then I would consider moving it if it would help more students, give them a more of a chance to participate in the live session. But frankly, I don't think that's going to happen. Based on my experience, I really don't think it's going to happen. But, you know, I ask you that question. I don't think I ask our other students, people.
For me, I can do it anytime, whatever is best for everyone. Okay. Even if the time changes, I can readjust and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we're going to meet on Thursday at 1 because I don't have another chance to talk to everybody. I'm doing it through this video, and obviously I've talked to you two. So, and I will continue to do this, even if it's just you two who show up, because it will benefit those students who can't come. I had a lot of feedback last mini-mester, first 8 weeks, and they all thanked me for posting the recorded videos because they would have liked to have attended, but they just couldn't because of their schedule. And they don't allow us to tell you, oh, by the way, if you sign up for this class, it's going to be a live session on Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 2:30 or something. So you could say, I don't want to do that, or yeah, I do want to do that, or something. It's
Yeah,
like,
when
yeah,
we sign up for the classes, they just pretty much say from 11:59 to 12,
that's right.
and that's it.
That's right. So, I mean, some people do one or two online and one or two face to face, and they could conflict, you
Yes.
know?
But I
Uh,
have classes where I did the Zoom, or they used the Blackboard Collaborate
mm-hmm,
sometimes.
mm-hmm,
So I am kind of used to this format. I had a film class that I had to attend weekly through
mm-hmm.
video. So no problem.
Well, I'm trying to make it as flexible as possible. And like I say, based on my experience of the mini mister I just got through, meeting 5 times a week was really not necessary. So I just created a lot of work for me. And students came in and didn't come in. And that's fine, because like I said, when you guys signed up, you had no idea that there was going to be a live component. And they won't, even though they made this class assignment before school started.
Yeah.
And they knew I was going to teach it. If they would have asked me, I would have told them, but they won't do it. So I don't know. It's just the reality. The way I look at it is what I do, I'm not required to do it. It's not required for the class. A lot of faculty do not. They just put the stuff on Blackboard, tell the students there'll be a test on Friday, and, you know, good luck with that. And maybe have some office time where people can chat. Well, I consider this office time. So, and of course, speaking seriously, if people do want office time, then they just send me a message and say, can you meet with me, you know, Monday at 5:30? Sure, I can do that. So that's the way I run. That's the way I roll, as they say. Well, maybe we'll have a little better participation on Thursday. Maybe not. Like I say, like students, they don't have to attend if they don't want to. Some can't, some could, but choose not to. So it's all good. I generally don't lecture to an empty audience. I've done it before because I want that subject understood before the exam, because I know it to be a difficult subject matter. Like, for instance, the behavior modification one. That's a whole lecture that I did with no audience, just because I know sometimes people have a hard time understanding how behavior modification works. So rather than me try to explain in the time that I have with you guys, have another video by itself. And if you're struggling with behavior modification, then you can go watch that other video. So that's the way I handle that. So I'm teaching 2 introduction classes right now. One is a night class, and then the other one is the Tuesday, Thursday class I just talked to you about. So once this video gets posted, it'll go to my YouTube location, and you'll see all my videos. The problem is, of course, you're not in sync with them because they're already on week 8 and you're on week 1. So, but yeah, if you wanted to go back and look at what I lectured about to either of those 2 classes, the 10 o'clock in the morning one or the Wednesday night one, which is 7 p.m., that is all relevant to this class because it's the same subject matter. And every time I lecture, it's different. I don't have a script that I just read from. I've been doing it long enough that I just do it based on my experience with the subject matter. So I do try to bring up the study guide issue because throw out answers in the middle of lectures. So it helps those who actually attend lecture or listen to it. So, there's rewards for doing that. So,
in certain aspects, I find myself an old-fashioned soul. So I tend to appreciate face-to-face classes rather than just emails and
No, I'm with you on that. That's why I do it. I will freely admit it's better for me, but I also do it because I know, I was in a PhD program that was online because it's easier to accommodate people online than it is to try to get people from all over the United States. You know, they didn't even do live sessions like this. So,
and I know it's about to be 2:30 and we're getting to
you
there.
can take as much time as you want.
This is more like a personal question. So unlike
well, we are being recorded. If you want me to stop, I'll stop, and then you can tell me what.
Oh no, it's fine. It's not that personal. It has to do with my major. So I'm actually one of the students who has a psychology major.
Okay.
Cool. And I was advised by my mother that I should also keep in mind a minor that is kind of like a fallback in the event that when I have this degree, whether I could find a job within that field.
Right.
And in my own thinking, I'm thinking like a minor and major should be kind of close together. But I have no idea like what a minor with psychology, like the best one could be.
Well, it sort of depends on what you think you're going to do with your degree. If you think that you're going to want to get a license and perform therapy or perform diagnostic testing, you're going to have to get a PhD unless you go into school psychology, and you can handle that at a master's level. So as to your minor, it sort of depends on what you're interested in doing. I can tell you that the two growth areas in psychology that are cutting edge and is where the growth is. The first one is in imaging, like with MRIs or functional MRIs. There's just tremendous growth in that area. So if you're in the least bit interested in research or working in sort of more a clinical setting, anything as a minor that would help would be like biology, anatomy, that kind of hard science, which will augment your psychology because they fit together very well. And the other one is in the area of biology and anatomy, about how psychology is now, kind of scary thought, but all psychology is at the cellular level. And if you would have told me that when I was in graduate school, I would have told you you're nuts. But we have now gotten the study of psychology down to the cellular level. So, I mean, if you're doing, let's say, you can find a job at the bachelor's level, okay? But what you're going to be doing at the bachelor's level is mostly patient care that's not therapy-based or diagnostic-based, because you have a bachelor's degree only. If you go to get a master's degree, like I say, I stopped my career at a master's degree because I was gainfully employed at a mental hospital as a psychologist. And then I transferred from there to a local mental health center where I was employed as a psychologist. Today, you can get, if you're into the therapy counseling aspect of psychology, the clinical side, you can hang your shingle out, and if you're a licensed counselor, because of your degree and your master's degree in psychology, then you can do that. If you want to go where the big money is, of course, you're going to have to get a PhD or a PsyD and go that route. But back when I was practicing, a master's degree was sufficient to do what I wanted to do, which was therapy and diagnostic work. Now it's a little less so. There is a master's level diagnostic position, a state sanctioned position in the state of Texas, which is it's a step down from calling yourself a psychologist, but you're doing a lot of the same things. You can be doing testing. If you have the other license for doing counseling and therapy, then you can do counseling and therapy. But most of what you can do, like I'm limited in teaching because I have a master's degree. So I can't teach master's degree students because, although I have, but technically if you're going to be teaching a subject, you need to have the degree higher than the one you're teaching. So if you're teaching graduate school at the master's level, then you should have a PhD. There's exceptions to that all over the place, and especially if you're in the area that I mentioned, the ones where their focus is on taking pictures of the brain in whatever way we're doing it, whether it's an MRI or a SPECT scan or any of the nuclear medicine types of imaging. You can do that with the skills of a technician. Like if you're a radiation tech, rad tech, and you can perform you can conduct the MRI, but you don't have the authority to analyze it and use it. You can use it to a certain level, but not what a licensed psychologist would do. So it depends on what you really want to do. I wanted to work with children. I wanted to be a child therapist, and that's exactly what I did. And I did it in a couple of different settings. I ran a clinical program for a resident inpatient, outpatient center. Obviously, I worked at a state mental hospital, which were all residents. And then I worked at community mental health, which was all outpatient, except for I had a contract to deal with the juvenile court and write psychological examinations reports for the juvenile court. And some of those guys were in jail, juvenile jail, so they were not free to leave. And then some of them were coming to the day program. So it depends. I'm tapped into a couple of job referral systems, and I look at there's plenty of technician type jobs all over the place because, people move on. Maybe they do it like I did. I started out in a technical position because I didn't have a degree yet. I started working in the mental hospital when I was a junior in college because one of my professors had written a grant and got about 10 positions. And he said, why don't you go over there and I'll put in a good word, meaning I wrote the grant. If I want you to get a job, you'll get it. So I got the job. But
that's awesome.
well, yeah, but like a dummy, I wasn't thinking straight because I got the job as a full-time job.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, crap, I got to change all my schedule to switch over and take night classes, which is what I did. So I worked full-time and went to school full-time and did it for all the way through junior, senior year, and then 3 years of graduate work. I was working full-time, either at the mental hospital or near the end. Well, that's not true. I had my degree when I transferred, my master's degree when I transferred to the local mental health. So you can do that too. So those jobs change, but it depends on really what you want to do. If you're is somebody in the waiting room there? Really?
I'm pretty much, like in the same area. I want to be work with children, whether that means like being a school counselor in a school or in a specific therapy that's supposed to help with whether it's depression, anxiety, anything that they could be going through.
I'm looking at this person who's about to connect audio-wise. It's an interesting email address.
Yeah.
I hope this is not one of those scammer whammers that somehow got onto my Zoom.
Yeah, they seem to be popping up everywhere. My mom actually just found out that she got scammed by these people who said they were sent by her doctor.
So, are you listening to us? VOCHOA? Are you a live person participating in this class?
Yes, sir.
Are you a student, or how did you get that? You got a strange, well, strange to me. I don't know.
It was originally created through my employer, and I never changed it. But it's an app on my personal cell.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome. We're near the end.
Thank you.
But if you want to stay on, I'll continue. I'm talking with Mandy right now, so if you want to hang on, I'll kind of go over what I've already gone over. So anyway, I'm speaking with Mandy about careers. So yeah, I'll give you an example. Well, I don't think we have state mental hospitals anymore for children, but if we did, somebody has to take care of them, 24/7. So they got staff that do that. And you don't generally have to have a degree to do that. You just have to have a commitment to working with children. If you do have a degree, then they might let you participate in certain activities that are not just direct care activities, because they want, whether you're working with children or adults, they want people who have an understanding of the field of psychology, so they know why patients do what they do and how to respond to them, how not to respond to them. But if you really want to do the more professional thing of participating in therapy, group therapy, individual therapy, and all that, then you're going to have a graduate degree. And that they still want people to do that. If you've had experience and you can get in consulting situations, like I said, in the state of Texas, like most states, will give you a license if you've done enough contact hours with patients, then you can document all that stuff and all your education, and then send it into these national licensing groups, and they'll license you as a marriage and family therapist or licensed professional counselor, LPC, and then you can go out and get insurance reimbursement. Some insurance companies will pay you with an LPC So it all depends on what your end goal is. So we were discussing also the idea of what might be a good minor if somebody wanted to add a minor to their major. And again, it depends on what you're wanting to do. If you're getting into the cutting edge of psychology, which is imaging, we're making fantastic moves on how to improve our picture looking into the brain. That's one aspect. And then the other aspect is the biological anatomical side, because psychology is now getting down at the cellular level to determine what's going on. So a minor like biology would be great. There's a video I show where a guy's talking about working with memories and all this. And I asked the students, what do you think this guy's major is? And of course, most people say, oh, he sounds like he's probably a psychologist, but he could be something else. Turns out he's a biological engineer. So who would have thought that somebody who's an engineering student who took something called biology engineering ends up being extremely well versed in how memory works and things like that. So it's an expansive field. There's a lot of reasons to know a lot of things. It depends on what you're really interested in. You know, I have a particular interest in forensic psychology because I practiced law for 20 years. And it was all in criminal law. And so forensic psychology has to do with aspects of the law. Most people think of it as criminal law, and it is, but it's also other issues. Civil law can involve forensic psychology as well. The word forensic just means it has to do with legal issues. Like this girl that you probably read about or heard about in the newspaper or TV that was killed, and everybody's looking for her ex-boyfriend, and he's on the loose. You know, they had a forensic anthropologist involved. They had a forensic, sometimes they have a forensic entomologist, which is a guy or gal who studies bugs, insect person, and they're a forensic insect person because they actually go in and try to establish the time of death based on egg larvae and all that kind of stuff. Or they can, the forensic anthropologist can come in and look at how degraded the bones were to talk about time of death, and maybe, you know, whether the person was moved after they were dead and things like that. I've done criminal cases where they bring in forensic soil guys, gals who understand the soil so they can talk about where the body was found and that it was killed somewhere else and brought to this location because of some of the dirt that was transferred and wasn't at the, you know, there's just a lot of things you can do. All right. Anything else, Mandy? Are you still with me?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I think that answered all my questions. I feel better.
Okay. Well, glad you're always free. We can also, if you want sometime, we can just do a one-to-one Zoom session. So we don't, you know, I do that as well. That's kind of like doing your office time, except you do it virtually instead of having somebody come to your office. So
yeah, it usually kind of happens, you know, week by week. I get new questions, very inquisitive, and I always like to make 100% sure.
Well, that's good. I like the drive. just remember, the best place to get a hold of me is not the
The school
EPCC DEDU, because I
Yeah,
got so much
email
crap
or-
in there. And then the Blackboard's even worse. So just use the DANeilDOC@gmail.com or text me on my phone number, because that, in fact, I haven't even created the syllabus yet. I got to go back and do that. So, I think I did put it in the original email though. So.
Okay.
All right, now I'm going to focus my attention, figure out what TFCU is. Texas.
Okay. I'm gonna take this moment to step out then.
Okay.
It was nice being a part of the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. See you on Thursday.
All right.
All right.
All right, Professor Neil, I just have a quick question because I did register last minute yesterday. So if there was anything that was posted yesterday, I'm not sure if maybe I might have missed it if you had emails going out, since I wasn't originally in the list of I guess students.
Well, how did you find me today? Let me ask you that question.
Well, this morning I guess they were able to link the course to my Blackboard. But I didn't know if maybe there was any emails that may have gone out directly. I know that I was reading through some of the material and it said that you prefer to be contacted through your personal email and not through the school email.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if there was anything that I missed.
I'm going to try to figure out how to stop the recording here, so because this other people don't need to hear.
Oh.
So pause recording, stop recording.